Good afternoon on what is a very changeable day. It's now bright and sunny, but I've also been sat here through a rain shower, and it's been cloudy and so on, and chilly. But I've got plenty of cover, so I'm protected for the moment, which means that I can get to these parcels. Now, I've already opened up this small one. There's a few more things to dig into in there. The next one I am going to open is this one from Human Gorilla, which is based in Texas. So got a nice pull tag, and just pull that open. Inside I have this Gobsmack, which I'm presuming is all about goblins. Goblins, you know them, you love them, you've been fighting them at first level for as long as you've been slinging dice around. Scott Burdick's film ranked goblins as the weakest monster in D&D, saying goblins are purposely designed to be weak and ineffective in combat so that they fulfill the role as a tutorial battle of Dungeons & Dragons. Yeah, well, guess what? The goblins are as mad as hell, and they're not going to take it anymore. Gobsmack is a toolkit to help you reimagine goblins in an urban setting, right alongside your elves, your dwarves, and your gnomes as denizens of your grand capital city. They live and work in your big fantasy city, and you can use them as random NPCs, contacts, rivals, or enemies. Gobsmack gives you the tables, tools, and options to create the urban goblin NPCs in seconds with goblin names, goblin jobs, goblin quirks, and goblin motivations, along with plot hooks and story ideas, background lore and information, practical advice for game masters, and suggestions for bringing player characters goblins into your existing campaign setting. Now, there are games in which you play goblins. A couple spring to mind. They're both but they're fantasy and science fiction. So Symbaroum allows you to play goblins, as does Pathfinder and its science fiction version Starfinder. You can all have player characters. Now, this comes in a Ziploc bag, and it's fairly tight to get out. So there we go. Nice little solid booklet, cardboard cover. I can't emphasize enough the benefits of just having a cardboard cover. It just adds a little bit more solidity to your product, gives it a little bit more of a professional finish. A couple of things I have unboxed and gone, oh, I really wish this had a cardboard cover, because paper cover really isn't quite it. Anyway, complaints over. So what we've got in here is nice introduction, The Goblins Other by Mark Finn, who has his own fanzine, which I've written about, and that's really good. I'm hoping to get some more issues of that from him. I really must nudge him about that. And here we go into give a goblin a name, and it's basically straight into the gaming content. Here's the names of the goblins. So there we go. Nice bit of dark artwork, and essentially that's so here we go. Goblin on the street, putting out the light, or putting it on. Maybe that's his duty. Basically, he's the lamplighter. Step 2: give a goblin a shitty job. Giving a goblin some personality. And step 3, just automatically, you're leaping straight into create a goblin. 4: giving a goblin something to care about. And so, what's fantastic? Okay, so you're on the table, and it says result 1: violence. Despite being city dwelling and living amongst other cultures for centuries, old habits can die hard. Violence directed at them or others is a surefire attention getter. And then it tells you how to use it. So, as a lever, the goblin appreciates a good left hook. It lets them know who's in charge. If the goblin is opportunity violent, they will jump at the chance. As a trigger, this goblin has been kicked around for some time too many, always as someone larger than them, and so on. So that's going into the motivations. A little bit more depth than you might expect. So yeah, I quite like that. So, and it's dealing with each of those in turn. Again, more great artwork. And then step 5: give the goblin some finishing touches. So the well-rounded goblin, and then we go on to optional features and magic. such as unseelie toughness, cold iron, nimble escape, short temper, all that sort of thing, which you can add to create a goblin. And it ends simply with an example, which is meek flurg, slap tongue, greedy grey digger. So brilliant. Again, loot tables and goblin trinkets. I'm really enjoying this. It's if you've got this, I mean, in some ways, it's nothing more than a bit of set of tables so far, but that adds colour. But not even halfway through the book, and you've got background, how the goblins lost their king, basically some nice lore which you can base essentially the background and history of your goblins on, and how they got to the city. And that's quite lengthy. Runs through the silly court timeline of the mid realms, and it's not just. I mean, what's so impressive? They could have just left it there. So I said, that's actually relatively short, but essentially for further reading, it's got a bibliography halfway through the book. Brilliant. Because goblins can come in many forms. And there are different forms from different cultures. It's always some kind of fairy creature, and so on. We got notes on goblin culture, contrarian by nature, art and leisure. Favours and markers, food, loot and stuff, all adding colour and flavour and detail. Plot seeds and story nuggets. Pages of those, and again, it's got a suggestion. Okay, how to use the earlier motivations, lever of violence or status or wealth and so on, to get goblins involved, and then question is, what do you do about the Goblin King? There he is. Does he exist? Does he not? Is he in power? All those questions are explored before we get into you want to be a goblin. And goblins are fun to play. My partner enjoyed playing one in the Iron Kingdom setting. And you've got a complete guide to playing goblins, so this is all useful. So, it's OSR compliant, really. If it's a case of just you take the retro clone of your choice and just add this. So it's not dealing with just goblins. You've got hobgoblins as well, and looking at the urban goblin. Suggested characteristics, ideals, and more. The urban hobgoblin. Another setting which it features these fairly heavily goblins and hobgoblins and the like is the Freeport setting from Green Ronin, which is the pirate port, and then goblin player character classes. So with things, that's discussing the various options in there. And I think possibly, and it's got different paths, so Barbarian, Path of the Unseelie Warlord, Druid, Goblin, Shaman, so there's the Goblin Barbarian, and Goblin Shaman features, and Ranger version, basically, is the Dogger. Not saying anything. Basically, he has a pack of hounds. For the rogue is Saboteur. So for the warlock, the Nilbolg. And these are all great options, because essentially it means it adds a character class to race and classes to options to your 5th edition game. I think one of the things I perhaps would have liked to have seen in there, the option for perhaps an old school Renaissance style class, the Goblin, which would have done race as class, just to make it make the content a little bit more accessible for a wider audience, because how can I put it? Certainly, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons and its various iterations, people can be quite tribal, and basically, if they see something for one system, they don't want to know because it's for that version rather than their preferred version. Now that's fine, that's how they want to have their game, but again, having that option there would have opened this supplement up to a wider audience. In the meantime, thank you again for watching another unboxing on the Nook. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm really quite impressed by Gobsmack just from the browse through on this unboxing. If you have enjoyed it, please do click the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate if you take the time to post those, and I do read them and respond as and when I can. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me with a parcel and a book, which I can talk about to the best of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all accompanied, of course, by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, thank you very much, and I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the near future. Bye for now.